Hey everyone, JL Camp 7 here from rcgroups.com. Really looking forward to giving you a review today. I've been looking forward to this one kind of like a kid waiting for Christmas. This is the ARRIS CM2000 Brushless Gimbal by hobbywing.com, and it's exclusively from Hobbywing, and it's made for the GoPro line of cameras. And for those of you in the hobby, then you know that brushless gimbals have been around for a number of years, but they've only been available to the pros mostly because of price tag being in the $2,000, $3,000, even $4,000 price range. And but over the last year, we've seen, due to the advancements and some of the things that people have been doing working with brushless gimbals, it's really brought it into the hobby level. And so we're going to be looking at this one today. And due to the product that it is, I'm going to be doing numerous videos, so it won't just be this one. So stay tuned over the next week or 2 weeks for me to release more videos, because there's a lot of information, a lot of things to go over for a product like this. So today what we're going to do is we're just going to basically open the box, get into it, look and see what is in there, and kind of discuss some of the things about it, and discuss kind of what I see from just the beginning. I have opened it and looked at it, played with it a little bit. Also too, let me just state that it is, even though it's made for the GoPro, in terms of mounting, it can be a universal mount. It's not made specifically necessary for one quad. It can be universally mounted on any quad. You might have to, build your own plate or something like that, but it has multiple mounting holes, including mounting slots on the side, and so it will fit most any of the DJI stuff. It has mounting for that, including the DJI Phantom, and so we're going to do that today too. We're going to install it onto the Phantom. What I'm going to do today is just a basic installation, meaning we're not going to have any of the pitch or roll axis being manually controlled. We're just going to mount it, and the fact that it stays stabilized wherever you point it. So in video 2, then I'm going to get into that. It can be done. It can be set up on here to manually control the pitch, at least on it, and hopefully the roll too. We're going to play with that and see, but we know the pitch can be controlled via the stock Phantom setup. So let's get on into the box. Let's see what's in there, and let me discuss. I really hope this video is helpful to you. I'm going to try to give as many tips as I can, be as helpful as I can. I'm going to try to make it as basic as I can for anyone that might be newer to the hobby, that maybe has a Phantom and this is all new to you. I'm going to try to break everything down so that it's as easy to understand as possible. So hopefully it'll be help. Let's get into the box and see what we got. Alright, so here we are. We've got the box, and I've already got it open, so we're just going to pull it out and take a look at what all we have inside. First, we obviously have the gimbal itself, and as you can see just from up close, then it's mostly all carbon fiber plating and stuff, but you can kind of look and see the build of it. Here we have your tilt axis, and we have your roll axis, and inside we have, from my understanding, this is a Martinez version 3 board that has been changed up a little bit, and so that it can work on more of a simple BGC type of software. So anyway, so here it is. You've got your brushless motor here, and also your brushless motor here. There are 2 different branded types of motor. This is a non-branded motor, but then this one here is called LD Power Gimbal Motor, and then you've also got your dampeners. So, and they're pretty solid. They're not too soft, so they've got a good feel to them and everything. So there's obviously the main part of it. As you can see, it says ARRIS right there on the gimbal. And so we're going to set that down right there. Next you have your strap, and this is obviously for mounting your GoPro. This part, I do wish there was some type of way that was maybe a little more permanent of mounting, some type of arm that maybe went over or something like that. But I mean, as long as you do it right, then it's not going to go anywhere. And we'll talk more about mounting options too here in a bit, because there is the ability to mount it two different ways. Next is, these are your cables if you want to do manual pitch and roll. So, and I do like the fact that it's a three, even though they're together, three separate pins on the end. Obviously most people run a standard setup in terms of your 3-pin, but they made each one separate. That way, in case you don't run the exact way, then you can put each individual pin where it needs to go to make it work. So that was, for me, a nice feature, even though it's a little newer to me because I'm new to gimbals. This is my first one. The last thing is it has a DVD in there, and in the DVD then it has your software for your user interface. It also has the software that you need to install specifically for the ARRIS gimbal, and then it also has a picture of the original configurations directly from Hobbywing, so that way if something messes up or something acts up, then you can look at that picture and go back and literally reset everything to the exact original settings as it came from them. The last thing on the DVD it has them actually showing footage. They put up a picture, a piece of paper holding another, showing your number that's marked on your gimbal here on top. Mine says RCG02, and there's a piece of paper literally in the picture showing that, and then they fly it. They literally fly your gimbal. And so that's what makes this thing so great, is that they hand tune this thing. They take the time to work it out before they send it to you. So it's not them just putting some pieces together, putting a board on there and saying, you know, here's your brushless gimbal. They literally hand tune it for you so that when you get it, it is about as plug and play as they get. Okay, so this is a really great thing. So now that we've kind of looked into the box, then let's look at a few of the things that I think are great about this product in particular. Alright, so now that we've opened the box and kind of looked at what's in it, I want to give some pointers on some things about it. Just give you a few thoughts on it. First off, the fact that it's plug and play is a huge positive. As far as I know, I don't know of anyone else doing that right now. Most places selling gimbals, you're either just buying the frame and the brushless motors, and then you have to put your own board on it, or they're selling you the kit, but then you still have to do all of the adjusting, setting your parameters, doing all the programming to make everything work as you want it to work. And I know of a few people that have literally spent hours and still haven't got the settings where they want them to be as smooth as they want it. So the fact that it's plug and play is incredible. And also too, I mean, the price point at $300 or $299, excuse me, you can't beat that. DJI has not released their official price on theirs, but we've heard over and over that the ZenMuse GoPro will be somewhere under the $1,000 price range, and I'm sure that it will still be far above and beyond in price of this one. And so the value here is fantastic. Another thing that I want to point out is, looking it over, it seems just like a really good build. It seems really solid, and all the parts go well together, and everything moves as it should. One thing I will point out, that when I was kind of looking mine over real close, some of the screws and things didn't seem quite as tight maybe as I'd like them. Now, you don't want to buckle them down too tight, but I would just say that maybe when you first get it to, before you start going and flying it, just going over all of the bits and pieces, checking each screw and bolt, and checking your little hex nuts and things, just making sure that everything is tightened as it should be, at least, so it's not too loose. So another thing that's positive is the weight. So it's really light for what it is, and allows it to be mounted to the Phantom, so that makes it really nice. Let's look at the GoPro real quick, because I want to point out a great feature here. This is kind of the standard mount for this, and as you can see, I know many people have pointed out that it keeps the lens off-centered, which I have found to be a moot point for the most part. But you can mount it like this, but you can also, I've found too, you can flip it over and you can mount it to where the lens is central. Now with this then, there's not access to the record button. However, there's a couple of things. If you wanted to maybe drill a little hole there, then you could do that to where you could push in and get there. Another option would be to turn on your Wi-Fi and just to hit record, and then you could turn the Wi-Fi back off. I wouldn't recommend at this point leaving it on, just because there has been some worries of there being issues there with the Phantom at least. So anyway, so you have the option to mount it both ways. So the only things that I really wish, I guess there's really only one thing, is that maybe there was a bracket here, like I said, to hold this, or something on the edge to kind of give a lip so that it's not just sitting there being held by Velcro. I know how to use Velcro, and hopefully you do too, so hopefully that won't be an issue for you. But just to have a little more security wouldn't be a bad thing. So, but what I'm going to do is real quick, I'm going to plug it in and show you, because this is where it gets fun. This is where you get to see what this thing actually does. So let me come back, because I'm going to Velcro this down so that it doesn't sling off when I plug it in. Alright, so now we've got the GoPro mounted on there using the Velcro strap. And something I will say is the Velcro does get a little bit in the way of the power button on your GoPro. But I find it still just as easy, or if not easier actually, to get to than the original mounting frame on the Phantom. So I found on the Phantom it was always hard to kind of get around. I was using my little fingernail. So this is actually easier, still easy access. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug it in and let you see it in action. Now let me say this before you go doing this, if you're thinking about doing this as well. Number one, make sure your GoPro is mounted on to the frame before you plug a battery in, because it helps with the counterbalance. It's set up for the counterbalance of that. So if it's not, then the thing's going to go haywire, because it's not going to be sure what's going on. Also too, if you're planning to plug it in and do this, then make sure that you, the second you get it plugged in, pick it up and hold it perfectly still. Because if you don't hold it perfectly still, then it will begin to do oscillations, and will begin to start doing some weird stuff too, because it's setting itself. So obviously you really want to do it when it's mounted onto the quad and it is not moving at all. But I just want to show you guys kind of how it works. So here we go. Let's put it in action. There it is, it's locked in, you can hear it. And here we go, now we've got a roll function going. As you can see, it's super smooth, and now we have tilt, showing the tilt. And it seems really smooth, I mean, just no issues. Now when I get real far down here, sometimes we get oscillations, but that's at a 90 degree, and we're going to talk about that more, about maybe adjusting that percentage to a little bit less. The only time I get oscillations here is when my finger is actually hitting something, so it's throwing it off. But other than that, no oscillations at all on the roll, and none on the tilt unless you get way far down. But like I said, we're going to talk about, we can adjust that to a little bit less of a tilt on the in the software, and that should remove that. So there you go, pretty cool, huh? Alright, so here we go. We're going to get into the installation. And be reminded once again, this is just going to be the basic installation. This is not going to be for doing manual control of your tilt and roll. This is only going to be for just installing the gimbal just to work as is, as it comes out of the box, without doing any of the other accessories. So for that, you're not going to need the 3-prong wire. You're just going to need the gimbal itself. And what I would recommend you do is use the accessory wire, or the extra power supply wire that comes on the Phantom if you're using a Phantom. And it comes right off the battery, just like the normal power supply does. So you'll have your 11.1 there that you need. And what you're going to need is you're going to need a JST male connector, okay? and you'll just have to add that onto those accessory wires that are there. And I really actually would recommend maybe bringing it up through this back hole. As you can see, I'm facing forward. This is the front with the battery cover. You can bring it out of any hole you want that's open, but I would recommend maybe using this back hole. Actually, when I open mine up to do this install, I'm going to bring it out there because I'm going to run the manual tilt and roll wires through the front one there. So, but I'm just going to leave it for the time being. So, like I said, you're going to need the male JST, and all you're going to do is take out the screws. Maybe you already have the plate still mounted from the stock Phantom. I already took that off because I had a different anti-jello mounting plate going on earlier, so I just took everything off so it'd be ready for this. All we're going to do is install this just using the 2 screws that come stock on your Phantom. Once again, now all we're going to do is we're going to put this in. Let me just remind you that this would be a really good time before you install it to just go over all of your screws and all of your nuts and everything and make sure that they are all tightened the way they should be and everything feels solid like it should. So go ahead and do that. Okay, I'm back. What I did was I took this board off because, like I was talking about earlier, you just want to check all of your stuff. And one thing I did notice was one of these little pieces here that screws in, there was just a tiny little bit of play. I mean, it was a small amount, but I wanted to make sure that it was nice and snug there. And once again, you don't want to over tighten, but you do want to make sure everything is snug. Also, to kind of do this and check all of your wiring. It seems like they do a good job of routing everything and zip tying it, trying to keep it all well routed correctly. But just go ahead and check over everything. And also too, here where these wires plug onto the board, just make sure that they are pushed in all the way. So when I got mine, then they were, you know, and it could be just from traveling and stuff, then they were sitting out a little bit. So just push it on in, make sure it's in there all the way, but they were on there, nothing like that. So all we're going to do now is simple as this. What you're going to do is you're going to take this and you're going to line this up, and you are going to just work these little pieces, these little nubs, into the hole, and then on the other side you're going to pull through. Now you don't want to see me sit there and do all that, so we'll come back in a minute. Alright guys, so here we are, we're mounted, and we got the dampeners mounted. Let me give a few things on that. I didn't show you me putting those in because it takes a while usually. So these dampeners, they're a pain in the butt to work with, but that's okay. That means that they're holding well. So, but just a few pointers if you've never tried putting them on before. Number one, I would suggest putting the back ones on first, and then the front, just because it's easier access around the front. So another thing is, what I do is I just pinch them and I put a little bit through. And then what I do is I take something like this. Now don't take anything sharp or anything blunt or anything like that, because you don't want to do anything that would cause there to be a loss in the integrity of the structure or strength of them. You don't want to do something that would cause it to tear or put a hole in it or puncture it or anything like that. So but I take something like this that's not sharp at all. Just like a hex would be fine. This one's got even a rounded edge because it's an extra piece for my screwdriver. But anyway, and once I get a little bit pinched through, then I just begin to push around the edge and begin to kind of push it through and just use my finger. And you literally just have to work them one at a time. It's going to take a little bit. Like I said, it takes a little bit to work with them. But once you get that, then you're basically through. All we're going to do is we're going to take this power that we had talked about earlier, the JST male. We're going to plug it into the JST female, and then you're ready to go. Once you plug your battery into the Phantom, then it will give power to your gimbal. Once again, before you turn your gimbal on, make sure that your GoPro is mounted on there, or it will get confused because of the balancing of it. Alright, so we've got everything done here. So I've got it plugged in. I just plugged it in, and just once again, when you're plugging it in, make sure it sits still. You want to see that lock in. So here we go. Let's check it out and see what it does. Let's bring it up and watch this thing in action. Look at that smooth motion both ways. Has lots of room to go forward, backwards, side to side. No oscillations. Now when you get way far down you will sense it, but you're not going to get that in this automatic mode, only in manual, and even with that we're going to talk about adjusting that so that that doesn't happen when you're manually controlling way far down. But that's pretty much it. Hey guys, I just want to say thanks for tuning in. I hope this video gave you some helpful information, maybe gave you some helpful tips along the way. And once again, I just want to encourage you to tune in, continue to check out the videos because there's more on the way. The next video I'm going to do will be installing the wiring in order to control the manual roll and tilt on the NASA, and I just want to say thanks to Alan H. over in RC Groups because he's done a fantastic job of working that out, and so thanks to him, then it's going to make it easier for a lot of us. Also, to check out all the other videos. There's been a lot of great videos being posted by RC Group members, and so just go on YouTube and search for the ARRIS CM2000 and you'll start seeing those great videos being posted. Once again, I want to say thanks to Hobbywing for giving me the opportunity. This so far seems like a great product. We're going to continue to put it through the test for the next few weeks and really push it and see what all we can get out of it. But thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.